welcome Shaun and Abigail Benson of the Bengsons. Thank you for joining us. And we understand you have released what the kids now call a visual album.
Is that what it is?
I guess you're right.
I
Yes,
guess
that
you're
is what it
right.
is.
Oh, we're so much more like Beyonce than I had ever dreamed. Thank you for bringing that reality home to us today. Yeah, we made something. We made it with the Actors Theater of Louisville. It's called the Keep Going song. And it's a 55-minute sort of piece that you can stream and watch. And then we also released the audio of most of it that you can just listen to. Yeah, that happened.
It did indeed. Yeah.
So from the beginning of the video, you saying that you were in Louisville and then you went to Dayton, Ohio, where Shaun's parents live, because of COVID. And so were you already in Louisville just working on something and then it morphed into the Keep Going song?
Yeah, we were working on this wonderful play by Jeff Augustine for the Humana Festival, and we had our first preview during which half of the audience was a high school group where the teachers hadn't vetted the show, and so the teachers halfway through the show got all of the high school students up and walked them all out of the room. And our one performance the next day, it was all canceled. So, so we packed our boy up. We were all living there downtown, and my folks are in Dayton, just a couple hours away. And so we went, and we really did think it was going to take a week or two before they got it all sorted out and things got going again. And then we were there for about 6 months.
Yeah.
What's it like to have complete strangers? Sorry, I have to ask dating questions already. What's it like to have complete strangers come up to you probably and know details about your life because you write about your love story so beautifully and people are like, how dare you did this, or why didn't you go on this date with him, or that kind of thing. Is that weird?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we asked for it, right? I mean, we made the choice, and we really walked backwards into it. When we started writing our first show that was autobiographical, we really we made it about other characters, and we set it in the 40s, and we did all this distancing work. And then a lot of collaborators that we really, really trust and respect said it wasn't very good, or it was good, but there was something inherently untrue about it. And that was true. So
yeah, it was sort of abundantly clear to everyone that we had kind of created these sham versions of ourselves, and so, and then with that show with 100 Days, it was sort of each version of it was kind of just about trying to break down the walls that we had built between sort of to protect ourselves between us and the story. And I think the other thing that was really hard about it too is I think part of the reason we fictionalized it at the beginning as well is it was hard to not feel like we were asking something that was self-indulgent, or navel gazing. And so it really took our collaborators saying no, the other way to look at that is the possibility of generosity, and so that's really been what we've been trying to move towards, and writing about our life or singing about our life is thinking about what is the generous thing that I could share. And it's still it's a tricky line to walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really walked into doing things about us really backwards.
We're both pretty shy. We're both very introverted. Mm-hmm. We just have this weird music habit that sort of pushes against our personalities, So it really wasn't what we expected to be making, but because the art that we are most interested in is the most sort of vulnerable possible, now I see it makes sense that that's what we do, or try to do.
Attempt, at least.
So Jose and I are both big Taylor Swift fans, and so we're both listening to her Folklore album, which she created in quarantine. And so it's kind of like your I'm in the Woods album, and I'm going to make something that inspires me during this time, the Keep Going song.
Wow. First Beyonce, now Taylor. Amazing comparisons. I feel like if Taylor had known we were going to drop our album when we did, she probably would have wanted to coordinate with us a little bit more, because they are so similar. We just watched it. We watched it for the first time and listened to the album for the first time. And I am so grateful that we have this artifact, of this moment and you can see us freaking working through it. Like, we were really so scared, right? When it started, like, from the beginning of this thing and trying to create at that time, and what a gift to be asked to create and sort of forced to make stuff at that time when we were feeling between, the dual public health crises of COVID and systemic racism. We were like, I don't know why. I don't know what to say. I should probably shut the fuck up for a very long time, which is real. It was just like, I don't know what to make or how to make or how to begin. And also I know that I can't heal without making. So those things being true at the same time and wanting to offer what we were really going through without pretending we had reached any conclusions or knew, and to be honest that we didn't know what we were doing, and to make a piece that felt really sort of aggressively courting anti-perfectionism. Like, to watch us stumble and make it up and try a different thing, and to try to build that into the piece itself was really good for us and personally good. And watching it now, I'm like, oh wow, right, like, there, warts and all, there we are trying, and I'm glad for that. That's the thing I'm proud of, that you can see us really trying.
So it's just two of you who create something. I mean, was there a moment where the two of you were like, had to, like, meet at the same time and be like, okay, like, sure, let's do this? Or was it just like different, like, paths to get there? Because I don't want to do anything. I don't know how to do anything right now.
Yeah.
It was it was another kind of walking backwards into it kind of thing, where this all started from Actors Theater Louisville asking us to make something for their like online season, and they said it could really be anything at all that we want. And so we'd also been, we have all of these sort of this backlog of songs that we'd been wanting to, just get to develop further and things. But it was like, when we set off, it was just in the context of COVID, where I did sort of understand the role for my voice a little more. And then, like, as we were working on it, everything erupted with Breonna Taylor and the whole beautiful movement, and it did
and working with people in
specifically
Louisville under
yes.
the leadership of the incredible Robert Bray Fleming. It was humbling, and we were just trying to, but part of it was like, they gave us permission. We missed deadlines and then more deadlines and then more deadlines, because we were like, we're making a thing, and we're trying to reach hearts in isolation because of COVID. And then we were like, wait, actually it's this. No, actually it's this, and we had to sort of move at the speed of spirit, of personal transformation, right? Because I would feel like, okay, this is what I want to sing about, and then another day would pass, and I feel like we were all there, of another day would go, and you go, that was one day, the world has changed so much again, how could it be? And they were so kind to us that we would say, like, it's still not done. In fact, we were 2/3 done, and now it's not begun. And
we did a lot of things where we would make a certain amount down the road and then scrap it all.
We'd be like, what are we doing? So but what it is, what is amazing, I'd say, about making things with the person with whom you are the most honest, right, is that you can't hide. You can't hide. You really the way that I am in my art is the way that I want to be with him, because it is the way that I am with him. So it's an attempt at bringing my deepest self, you know, which is very exposing, and I'm sure for some people, like, all right, a little, okay, you can put some of that away, but that's the nature of what we do.
I do think like one of the core threads of our work, like the core thing that we're trying to investigate, is doubt and uncertainty, you know, and trying to live in that space of not knowing, and which is, I feel like, so much of my life is just like utter confusion. You know, and so in the end, it was just like allowing ourselves just to lean into those points and not trying to provide answers, but just to live in our questions. And that is like with working on it together. There is no lying. Like Abigail can see in my face immediately if I try to put on something, you know.
Okay, can I make me cry? I'm like so sensitive today, and I'm like, this is so romantic.
Honey, you let him flow.
Yeah,
you're in the right company.
I can't. I wish I could, but I was like, oh my god, this is so cute. Like, I just want to be like, oh my god. Sorry, it is really cute. Sorry. I don't even know what I was gonna say anymore. So I was like, oh my god, this is so horrible. But I've always, you know, I wondered if you ever envisioned, you know, like someone, you know, playing versions of you in a movie or something. Like, who would be your dream cast to play you?
You two would be amazing.
No, we don't know how to sing.
We're not actually married.
And you would sue us.
You would sue us. Attached the hip, but
maybe at the hip, but nowhere else, right?
Yeah,
we are so no, but you could like juggle, like you could find another way in. I mean, are you kidding me? That's like the most exciting. That started to happen with our first show, 100 Days, right? It got licensed and it's starting to be performed in where it was everything started to get canceled, but it was everywhere, and we got to write this like huge mission statement at the front of it that was like, please, like, may this be a queer love the story. May this be people who don't look like us. Put 3 of us on and make it a poly story. Like, find a way, you know what I mean? Just like, right? I mean, like, it's so very moving to me to take it outside, let it live outside of our bodies. Oh my gosh. And who would play us? I mean, obviously, it's just your average, like your Catherine Zetas, your Angelinas, you know. I mean, just like right. You want it to be like an every woman. So, your Halle Berrys, you know, just people who like everyone can relate to. That's who I feel like is most like me.
You're okay if they don't know how to sing, then. You're not
I don't care about.
Okay.
Right. It's really about.
That's what computers are for.
I'm kidding. If there's ever a movie about any of this, which is incredibly has become possible, but who the hell knows, right? Like, we're in that moment. I just hope it's like someone who isn't afraid to sing in an ugly way sometimes.
Yeah.
I'll do
it
it
ugly. Get it ugly. I like it ugly. Right.
I can do a banshee scream. I'll do it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Give it to me.
Since Abigail, you brought this up earlier about like this question of what can I do right now, especially, you know, as white people. And for me, like, I'm Asian, which is like very white adjacent most of the time. And right. so like, what do you think white people should be doing? Or white artists in particular? Like, what?
It's we've really
that's the question of every single day. I think part of it is to be, I mean, you and I might have different answers. Please. Part of it for me is to be asking that question actively every day and being honest that I don't know, right? Just every day being like, and when I thought I knew even less than I do now. So let's look, let's investigate, let's get open, let's listen, let's ask again, and then ask another time over and over, and do your homework by yourself. My God. Yeah. And so I'm learning about that. we're talking to a lot of other white artists about this question and what that looks like, but it's an incredible gift we've been handed to be so humbled. It's an incredible gift to be reminded of something that that should have been as active in our minds as it is today. And it should have always been, and it was for so many of our siblings. And to be given the chance to be told how wrong we've been is a gift, and then we get to keep making things. What a gift. So I don't know, man. The answer is I don't know what we should be doing. And I think we should, if for me personally, it's about creating without the hierarchy of pretending I know.
Yeah, no, we really have this, like every creative process has really been coming from this question. And I do think like part of it at its first level is like, if we're offered a gig, it's like, is this actually a gig I should be taking, and like, if I've already got, 3 or 4 other things going in particular, do I also need this? Yeah. And I think we've been trying to think a lot about, who are the BIPOC voices on the producing side too, and how can we help support them and their missions, and like whether through creating something or just trying to, bring whatever sort of, our very small, like little pinhole of public light that we could shine. And just really like thinking about it within the art, just trying to recognize what about where we are in our career, and what about my viewpoint stems from my whiteness. And so and it has been tricky to also find the line. We've been really doing a lot of stabs and trying to share with our collaborators, both our white collaborators and our BIPOC collaborators, and trying to find the line between like what is like being generous and open about trying to reckon with my whiteness, and what is I feel like the example that we've been thinking of is like the experience of a Jewish person coming in and watching a Holocaust show, and like maybe that Jewish person would like some warning before watching a Holocaust show. And so also trying to think about like, if I am talking about my whiteness and some of the damage that my community has caused, like also what, how much of that is for me to process on my own, and how much of that is for me to try to speak about publicly, and what impact does it have on the people who are with us or watching or listening, who are from different backgrounds. And I really I really don't have any answers. We're really just actively stumbling through. And it was like when this all went down, we really did reckon for a long time about whether it was even good for us to be making art, or us to be trying to put anything into the world. And is that contributing and generous, or is it taking up space?
And it's both.
Yeah.
That's the truth. It's so, I think so. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Ask me again.
Yeah.
Yes. Ask me again tomorrow, and I'll ask myself again, and we'll ask each other. Keep asking.
Since you say that your art is that, excuse me, your art is those two things, is there art specifically by BIPOC artists that has, let you, I guess, have empathy and like enter those people's minds and wear their shoes?
We, the show we were working at in Louisville is by Jeff Augustine, who's a Haitian American, and it was specifically about the experience of, it's like loosely autobiographical about his journey with his father, both being Haitian American men, separated by 30 years in their experience of finding their way in the world. And it's just a beautiful play, which was very much living with this question of what it meant to walk through their their lives, you know, in the bodies that they had. And it was also being at Louisville was so extraordinary too, because Louisville was being there. It was one of the most genuinely diverse and inclusive theater spaces we've ever been in. You know, I feel like one of the most uncomfortable experiences of being a New York theater artist is the first day of rehearsal when the theater staff comes into the room, you know, and it'll be 80 people and 75 of them will be white, you know, and often like the 5 people of color, usually 4 of them are in the cast, you know, and it was so amazing being in Louisville. And that was my first time that not being the case. And I feel like we were also trying to deal with it in the room because Abigail and I were performing on stage. And so there are 2 actors who were both black and us who were both white, and just trying to work out as a team how us being there was supporting their voice, you know, and supporting their story without taking away from it. So I think like it was a real gift to us being in that process, and I feel like our brains were already primed a little bit heading in. And we've also just been reading a lot, whatever we can find. I've been loving Ibram X. Kendi's books, and or Kendi, Ibram X. Kendi. I said his name wrong, didn't I? And Ta-Nehisi Coates, and just trying to read everything we can.
How can you read? Like, I can't concentrate on any book, on any fiction. Like, all I was doing at first was, you know, and I wore this for you, my Animal Crossing shirt.
Yes.
That's the only thing I could focus on. So
I was just
really
had my
hard.
birthday last month, and I got a Switch. Woo!
Happy birthday.
Abigail got me one.
I'll send you my
It's been
friend
amazing.
code.
Yes.
Yeah.
Y'all can make a musical together on Animal Crossing.
Yes.
I'll be in the audience. I don't know how to sing.
Yeah, no, right? I feel like my brain has had to rewire itself like 6 times in the last 6 months. I totally relate to reading feeling really hard. Yeah. But nerd stuff will always pull you through. Get on that game. Get on that game. Do it.
Yes.
Put on the bold lip. Put on a bold lip.
And Abigail, well, actually, the 2 of you. So the last thing I saw you 2 in was The Lucky Ones, which was about a traumatic thing that happened in Abigail's family, and like, you know, I was listening to Keep Going song, and I just found it so comforting because the 2 of you are talking about we're trying to work through uncertainty, and I like the fact that there's not a resolution to the album. It just ends. You know, I feel like you can have a part 2 after you figure out how to get through this. Like, you'll give us a part 2 with the answers. But for now, I'm finding for the first time in my life, just being in one place and just accepting the fact that I don't know is comforting. And so, like, I'm just wondering, because you've both been through like some traumatic, hard times in your own lives, and so what kind of tools have you built that you're using now that you can maybe give to me?
Wait, I'll show you mine and you show me yours, okay? Wow. Yeah, I mean, for me, the making things and singing is a huge part of being okay. Or if not being okay, sitting in the not okayness in a way that doesn't make it worse. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So there's that. And then it was a real gift to be in Dayton when we were, because we started a little garden with our little boy.
And a trampoline.
And we got a trampoline and we started a little garden and gosh, it's like I remember when I was I used to years ago watch joggers run by and I would make fun of them in my head. I'd be like, "What are you running from?" You know. And then I became a jogger, and like it just took over everything about my identity, that I just like wanted to run all the time because it made me feel good. And I feel that a little bit that way about a lot of other self-care practices that I've kind of rejected in the past. I think because on some level I was afraid of them, and now I'm coming to trying to meditate in a way, and whatever that means to me, praying in my own strange agnostic, atheistic, paganistic, Jew-esque, way that I have, and being in the world, just being in the dirt and in the trees, and which I was raised in, but then turned from in a certain way, and I'm coming home to now, which is hard but good. I feel like, and then just to get real, when the shit's bad, I think about liquid. So take a shower, drink some water, hydrate your spirit. Get some liquid on you and in you, and it will help.
Yeah. I thought you meant alcohol when you said liquid.
I thought that's where you were going also.
That's next. If you that's for when you need to cry. Get some liquor in you, and that'll help you get weeping if you need to. But if you need to stop, take a shower.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is there one thing that on March 13th you were like, how am I gonna live without this? And now you're like, I don't miss that thing at all anymore?
Yes.
We used to go to a coffee shop every single morning, no matter where we were in the world, and buy the $8 latte. And I was so heartbroken about that when it was really the whole structure of our day was built around this experience. And it was also having a young child, having a reason to get out of the house right away, is so important for the spirit. And it was really weirdly hard to figure that part out, but we really have. I mean, I'll be excited to get to go to a cafe again when it that stuff opens up. But we really have now figured out a new groove with our boy and with our life, which I think is ultimately not only saving us hundreds of dollars a month, but is
what were we
real
thinking?
Sweetness. Yeah,
where did we think that money was coming from? It's right? I don't know. I feel like, how New York, you have 1,000 choices every second, which is an astonishing thing to feel. And there's so much no money fun. There's so much you can do even when you're totally broke. I feel, there's options. And with that, for me, it turns out comes panic. Am I this feel am I living? Am I doing? Am I achieving? And to just say, to be sit down, stop, stop. It was incredible and really uncomfortable. And now I'm really into it. I'm okay, when I'm freaking out, when it feels urgent, when the world's an emergency again, what if it's not? What if it's not in my body? What if I'd stop for a minute and take a breath and be active and responsive, but not reactive all the time, and stop that circuit cycle that I've been on. And that singing for me has short circuited and allowed me to be in the moment, right? So how do I get there now? And I don't know, but it's nice. I miss the zoo with my little one a lot. I miss the zoo. Yeah. And I miss the carousel. There are things that he misses that I miss on his behalf. But for me, the removal of so many possibilities has refocused. It's something to grieve, but it's also refocused me in a way. I don't know. What about you guys?
Yeah.
What about you guys? I'm feeling overwhelmed by talking about myself. I realize that's why you've asked this. What are your tools?
Yeah, no one ever asks us the question, so we don't. I don't know. No,
I've also started gardening. I mean, I never thought I would, like, because I never had time to like maintain or to beautify my own living space, and I didn't think it was necessary because I'm never in my space. It's
That
because
I
it's
thought
New
it was.
York.
I thought it was kind of dumb, and
Yeah.
that's what I feel bad about. I feel bad. Yeah. Word. And now you're like, this plant is my spirit, and and if I take care of it, it's gonna take care of me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my child. Like you can't. It's blurry, but like I'm very happy with my hanging plant.
Yes.
Like I've named my plants. Like I become that person.
And Dish,
Oh.
what are their names?
Oh, the one behind me is her name's Audrey too because she eats bugs.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh no, not fly trap. It's like the bug goes into the pitcher and then the pitcher digests them.
Yeah.
That is some magic school bus stuff.
We're going National Geographic in this apartment.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, and the other? Audrey 2 and
Oh, I got pothos, and I got basil. I just started growing chilies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I never got it before why it was so satisfying for people, but now I kind of get it.
I kind of get it.
It's like I can't control anything else in my life, but if I can keep this thing alive, then I feel like I've accomplished something at least today.
And isn't that like this whole moment? That's the whole moment. Is like, I feel, especially in theater, we're like, if I can keep this little seed alive, and plant it and let it become something we haven't seen before, so that when things reopen, we're not going back to the same old bullshit, but something new is growing. Won't that be extraordinary? Won't that be amazing? Won't that have been, yeah. So I feel like watching the plants, it's like, oh, look, they just do it every day. They're just like, me, I'm a seed. I'm doing my thing.
That's absolutely been what's gotten me through, is being outside as much as possible. And that's been the crazy privilege of first getting to be in Dayton, and now we're in Vermont. And with Abigail's home is getting to be outside and outside with our boy. And especially at the beginning, like we found like the one like creek in Dayton that like the other people hadn't found, like all the others were slammed. And we found like the one that you had to like walk back in the woods to. And it was just really, really extraordinary. And I feel like that was the start of my feeling like I could get through this, is finding that little bit of water. And what a rare privilege, that our work can follow us where we are, and that, and we're healthy, and not yet destitute.
Not yet.
We're burning through it.
We're also trying, like, some of it's amazing, right? Like, we're trying to compose music, choral music that can be sung over Zoom in groups, like music that works with delay and works with distance rather than being interrupted by it. Like, we're trying to create in a way that embraces what is happening, and not push against it, and that feels really, really good to be. And that was part of the Keep Going song idea, was to not try to make something that was trying to look like a theater piece or trying to look like a movie, make something that just was what we could do on our iPhones right now,
Yeah. And I do feel like
that part feels exciting.
Yes, it does.
Coming up with some new stuff, or new to us.
And I feel like the amazing thing about this moment too is that so much about the American theater model, I feel like, was already really profoundly broken. And I feel like what a hard, sad, but maybe also good thing that to have to break it entirely, and like maybe we can put it back together better. As it was, I feel like it was still, all of our structures were designed for like white men with wives, so like just also being any sort of caretaker or caregiver, or like having any sort of life outside the theater, just like doesn't.
Or not being independently wealthy.
Not being independently wealthy, it's like it was just it's a really messed up, flawed system. So I really do hope that, and we're trying, like, that is the nice thing with being creators on some of the projects, is we do have a little bit more power about how the project will work and how the rehearsals and techs and like how we can, uh, we have a little bit of control over how things work out financially, and like maybe we can try to make it actually work better.
Yeah, and like that was part of it too, right? Was when the Broadway cycle and all that hoo-ha just freaking stopped, it also made me unclench this part of me that was barreling towards that, just feeling like I need my fucking Tony, which isn't even, it's not what I'm about. It's not what I make. It's not who I am, And I think I imagined that I was like some kind of Trojan horse. Like I was gonna like get in onto the Broadway stages, but then secretly I was we were making this other kind of thing, and then I was like, what if we're just building, like, we're going to end up being experts at building huge wooden horses full of what? You know what I mean? I was just like, uh-oh, like, what am I buying into by caring about this part of the business, And I can't help it. It's in me. I'm wired. I want to have a hit Broadway musical, like whatever that freaking means. I want that thing, and I have to really look now. I needed to look at it years ago, but now I'm like, wow, stop. What? Yeah. What do you want to put in the world? If when Broadway comes back, what could it be that could be more, better, different, deeper, older, fresher, and do I have a place in that or not? I don't know.
Maybe it could be better though.
Maybe it could be better.
Maybe we don't have to just go back to the
right. Yeah. Maybe we don't have to just be like business as usual. That's
I just realized that you're the first set of parents that we've had on a show, right?
Oh really?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So you're I was gonna say Brad and Angelina, but those aren't a thing anymore. Who's you're Tom Hanks and Rita, I guess.
Beyonce and Jay-Z.
We're Tom Hanks and Beyonce.
That's right.
No, but I was thinking about that because so strange. I mean, not strange. And this is a question that's probably more for general knowledge than for theater specific stuff. But every time that I talk to friends and there's a little kid around, they at some point will come to the phone and take the phone and start talking to me. And and so I love kids. I love kids. I find it really adorable. But I don't know how parents are able to explain what's happening to their children because, we don't understand it. Mm-hmm. And, kids suddenly not having, their friends or going to school and, doing all the things that they used to do. How do you do it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was with our boy, he'll turn 4 in a couple of weeks. So when this started, I don't know, he only sort of understood what was happening, and we didn't go into it super deep with him. And now it's been long enough that masks are normal. They're he doesn't have all that many, now that it's been 7 months or 8 months or whatever, that's long enough that he doesn't have a ton of concrete memories from before it started. So it just is normal,
right?
So it's also because of the way our life worked. We were traveling all the time with him, and we were always, every which way. And so that 5 months that we spent in Ohio was the longest he had spent without traveling and went home since he was born. So it was I feel like we were lucky in the age that he was that, we could just sort of skate into it. But I do think it is if he was even 6 months older when it started, it would have been really different. And I do know it's a really intense thing for our friends who are parents, and
yes.
As sad as we are, a lot of kids are really sad too. But it is yeah. So I think they just talk about it. There's there's a sickness going around, and we just have to stay healthy. And I am really grateful that it doesn't seem to affect children as profoundly as it does. Like I don't know where my heart would be if it was flipped. Do you know what I mean? Which is how most of human history was, like up until 100 years ago, something like 50% of children died before age 12 or something like that. Jesus. And so it's just like, we're also just in such a weird bubble in human history, where to be a parent isn't automatically to be heartbroken in that way, like you just go back to our great-grandparents, and like, they would have 12 kids because 7 of them would die. It is so bonkers. I think
about, like, for me, it's about, ever since realizing we were going to be parents, I feel like everything we make, there's some part of it that for me is like this little time capsule for him. Like, I want, like, making the Lucky Ones was very much about, which is a deep processing, a deep and prayerful processing of part of my family story that was the hardest for me. And it had to do with how will I tell him, and I think part of making the Keep Going song, it really is, or whatever we were making at any time, but it really is like, what do I want him to know of us and of this moment, and what could I offer him? And it's crazy to think that someday he might watch, and have a different understanding of this time from our point of view. And I hope, and that's part of why I just hope it's so full of love, that he finds it and knows that even if I don't know how this moment will be remembered, it might be remembered as only horror. I don't know, but there was beauty here. There were people planting for the first time. There were people in the revolution. There were leaders far braver than us, doing extraordinary things, and that was happening too. And I hope, and that's quieter sometimes and slower and smaller and harder to put on the news, but it's happening, and so I like the idea of all of us who are still creating, you and your amazing podcast, like, who are trying, that there are these little capsules that say we still cared for one another in this,
I do every once in a while, like I'll think about like what would it have been to be alive during one of those big changingful moments in history, like be alive in the 60s, or, be in Cuba in the 40s and the 50s, or like, just like what would it have felt like to be alive then. But I do feel like that's the other thing, is I think we are living through one of those moments. We're living through a moment of profound change and uncertainty. And there's a privilege in that, and getting to be a part of it in any small way.
Should we close? Jose?
Yeah, I'm just distracted by the poltergeist my neighbors have going up upstairs. Sorry. It's always like moving stuff and like galloping. It's really strange. So
do you live with a horse?
It's upstairs. I mean, in fact,
it might be a horse.
It's a New York apartment. You never know.
You never know.
Are y'all coming back? Or is New York dead?
No, oh God, right? No, New York is unkillable.
I do also I have a hope that it might, like, New York could be like 80s, 90s a little bit. You know what I mean? I feel like 80s, the New York, it's gotten like, there's been a lot that's been beautiful about it, but I feel like it's also become like TGI Fridays, and I feel like the Gap is leaving, TGI Fridays is leaving, and like maybe some of the weirder New York can come back in. And maybe actually people can afford to live there again. Wouldn't that be nice?
Not people like us, but there might be people. No, we still have our apartment in Queens. We're never leaving all the way. Like we can't. The idea of, we have like a tiny 1-bedroom railroad in Queens.
Yeah.
So living there all the time with our 3-year-old would be a huge mistake. But yes, we'll be back. We're gonna start doing some open air concerts before too long, and we're not supposed to say when yet, because then people might gather. But because it's like people have to keep moving, or it's all called off, is the way it works. But it will happen, and I will I will email you when it does. I miss
New York dearly. We got to go back for just like a little period, and it was really beautiful to see And and we don't have any child care there, or like any real way for our life to function right now. But it was very
Still the
emotional
best place in the
to be
world.
there, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
We got to go out to Far Rockaway and see the ocean, and it's like, New York. So we'll be back.
Oh God, so embarrassing.
We have Ohio area codes, so we're just like swamped with political calls. It's like 24/7.
And I was saying, and the bagels miss you also, so you have to come back.
Oh, very mutual. Give me some gluten. Wow.
So thank you so much for doing this. It was a pleasure. And do you want to tell our viewers and our listeners about everything you have coming up, except for the outdoor shows, obviously?
Right, the secret.
Yeah.
We have the album up on Spotify, and wherever you listen to albums, you can stream. It's a sliding scale ticket on the Actors Theater of Louisville website. I think and it's going through like October 8th.
Yeah, October 9.
Yeah,
I think it is.
so you got some time. But check it out, and not just our work, but I mean, there's so much amazing streaming work, and I feel like there's a little barrier to entry. Like, it's hard to do it when Netflix is right there, but like, give her a shot. Not just ours, but the people are making really extraordinary new ideas right now, I think. So if you got it in ya, stream West Wing, take a break, stream a piece of theater, and go back, is what I would say.
I'm looking forward to your Zoom musical with a delay.
Yeah. Yeah, join us. Absolutely. You guys are awesome.
Yes, thank you so much for this.
This is the moment in any conversation where I start to replay everything I said, and I'm pretty sure that I'm a living nightmare. But other than that, you two are such a pleasure, and I love the work that both of you make, and I love this podcast. So I'm, as a fan, thanks for having us on, you guys.
Thank you.